When I started reading these stats, it made sense why my dad didn't ask me about investing in compounding, index funds, all that good stuff right away. His first question was, this year, I set some financial goals for myself and I told my dad that I wanted to push past 100,000. I figured we would dive straight into the technicals, but he asked me a very simple question which really surprised me because I thought this was going to be an investing and growing my money kind of conversation. For context, my dad has been an accountant for over 30 years and I always felt very lucky about that because financial literacy was a given in my house. Money was not a taboo topic and we talked about it openly. Because of that, I still sit down with him from time to time to discuss my finances, especially when I've set a goal for myself and I want a second opinion. Before I tell you what his question was, I want to show you some data first. I looked at the financial literacy landscape in Canada using Perplexity AI, which was my first time using it, and the results were quite concerning. Only 55% of Canadians have an emergency fund, which has dropped from 64% in 2019. But according to a Scotiabank survey, majority of these people won't be able to afford a $1,000 cost. So they don't really have an emergency fund. They just have a little bit of cash set aside. So it seems like people aren't really sure what an emergency fund is. When I started reading these stats, it made sense why my dad didn't ask me about investing in compounding, index funds, all that good stuff right away. His first question was, how much liquid cash do you have? He was asking me about survival money. As an accountant, he wanted to make sure that I wasn't making the biggest financial mistake that normally people tend to make, which is not having enough cash to survive if something were to happen. Now, because I have a background in finance and stats and I love data, I've decided that on this channel, we're going to be talking about money, but from a data and logic perspective, similar to what I did in my Excel and Power BI videos. So here's the logic. When it comes to growing your wealth, the first thing you want to look at is your risk profile. Basically, how much risk can you actually take? And this is determined by two main things. One, how much liquid cash you have, and two, how much money you burn every month. And basically your emergency fund and your debt situation, but we'll talk about debt in another video. So on a deeper level, why does your risk profile even matter? And this is where brain anatomy comes in, and trust me, this stuff is very fascinating. So deep inside your brain, there is a tiny structure called the amygdala. Think of it as your internal fire alarm system, and its job is to detect danger fast. But the problem is that your brain is ancient and it can't tell the difference between a real emergency, like a tiger attacking you, and you having $0 in savings. Your amygdala treats both exactly the same way because it detects a threat. Now, as soon as it senses danger, it triggers cortisol, your stress hormone, to flood your system. Your heart rate spikes, your logical brain literally shuts down, and you go into pure survival mode. Now, this system isn't inherently bad because it has kept humans alive for thousands of years. But your amygdala can tell the difference between a real predator and financial insecurity because both of them threaten your survival. To your ancient brain, no emergency fund equals vulnerability equals existential threat. Now, here is where the data gets really interesting. Researchers surveyed 12,400 people about financial stress, and they found that people without emergency savings spend about 7 hours per week just thinking about money. They are 4 times more likely to be distracted at work, and they showed significant levels of stress and anxiety and arguments at home. But the good thing is that they found that even $2,000 in emergency savings made a measurable difference in people's stress levels. Now, not to make this very dark, but the truly scary part is that if you live with chronic financial stress for months, your brain literally rewires itself. Everything starts to feel like a threat, and you become too scared to take any action that could remotely endanger your job, even something as reasonable as asking for a raise at work. The more stressed you are, the worse your financial decisions become, and it's a downward spiral, but it's something that you can totally fix. So from both a qualitative and quantitative data perspective, This is why having liquid cash is so important and why it was the first thing that as an accountant, my dad wanted to know. And what most personal finance content gets wrong is that it's not a one size fits all kind of scenario. You need to understand your risk profile so that your decisions can be based according to your situation. How much risks with your investments you can take is not about confidence. It's about capacity and knowledge. And so following someone else's investment strategy blindly without understanding it yourself can be very detrimental to your finances. So we've very strongly established that emergency funds are important and also that people might not know what an emergency fund really is. So let's define it properly. An emergency fund is simply cash set aside for emergencies only, meaning job loss, medical bills, urgent car or home repairs, and any expense that must be paid or life gets significantly worse. And the goal is to avoid two terrible outcomes. One, taking on high interest debt, and two, having to sell your investments at the worst possible time if life punches you in the face, which it might. The way you can calculate your number is pull up your last 3 months of bank or credit card statements and add only these items: rent or mortgage, groceries, transportation, car payments, transit, gas, insurance, phone and internet, childcare if applicable, and minimum debt payments. What you won't include is entertainment, restaurants, shopping, subscriptions, vacations, anything that is discretionary. Once you have that monthly number, multiply it by 3 or 6 depending on your situation. If you have variable income, you might want to lean towards 6 months, but if you have stable income or dual income in your household, 3 to 4 months should be sufficient. Now you have your emergency fund. Where should you keep it? If you've watched any of my other videos, which I'll link somewhere up there, you know that keeping your money in your checking account or your drawer is the same as burning your money a little bit every year because of inflation. You want something that's risk-free, so you can take your money out anytime, earning interest, so you can fight inflation, and the third, if you have an option, then it should be tax efficient. In Canada, that's the TFSA, which is the tax-free savings account. Your post-tax income can go into the tax-free savings account in Canada, and you have to open investment accounts within your tax-free savings account so that you can make your money grow. In this account, any profit that you earn won't be taxed. There are contribution limits, so you cannot save all your money there, but you should make use of it as much as possible. We'll cover the different accounts that are available in Canada in a later video, but the rule is that you need to keep your emergency funds in accounts which are earning you interest. You don't want to just open a savings account and keep all your money there, and this is basically what I did when I first moved to Canada because I didn't know that you can open investment accounts within your savings accounts. But if you just open a savings account and keep your money there, your money will earn less than 1% of interest, which is again, burning your money every year. And like I said before, it should be risk-free. So an important distinction from investments is that your emergency funds should be kept in an account where you can access it right away. As soon as there's an emergency, you should be able to go and take your money out. So that is a foundation. You want to make sure that as soon as you start thinking about growing your money, you step back and check your emergency funds so that you know that you're good from a survival perspective. Remember that investing is exciting, but survival is essential. You get this right first and everything after is very easy. If you want to step further back and want to know how to improve your mindset around money, you can watch this video right here. And if you liked any part of this video, I would love it if you could subscribe so you can see me again. Thank you so much for spending your time with me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.